Matt Bernier with the DRFBets race of the day for Friday, January the 11th. Race number 7 out at the Great Race Place, Santa Anita. About 6.5 furlongs going down the hill. 9 winners and 1 other than 3-year-olds. Before we dive into the field, I'd encourage you to head on over to bets.drf.com where you can take a look at the latest as far as sign-up offers are concerned for new DRFBets members. Again, bets.drf.com is the address. Let's take a look at the field of 3-year-olds that will be going down the Hillside Turf Course on Friday afternoon out at Santa Anita. Before I go into the field, I'd encourage you to head on over to the Race of the Day page on DRF.com where you can download free formulator past performances and take a look at this field along with me. Hopefully I can give you a couple little nuggets here and there about some horses that perhaps you had missed in your first go-through of this race. The number 1 is Synthesis for Keith DeSormo. Rafael Bejarano has the mount, making the turf debut. This is a son of First Samurai. First Samurai, about 9% with the first-time turf runners. You've had those little incremental improvements for this horse from start to start, but at the same time, you never had a giant jump as a 2-year-old. This horse went out 7 times, career debut of 57. Last start as a 2-year-old, 72. So we only had a 15-point difference from first to last finish. Trying the grass for the first time, I'm not totally sold. You'll note that there was a little bit of a hiccup there at Churchill in the most recent run over a sloppy sealed main track. Had to steady down the backside. The 6th place finisher of that race was a next out winner with a 74 buyer, albeit on dirt. I'm in more of the wait and see approach with a horse like this. I'd imagine you're going to come from slightly farther back going down the hill. Probably going to run in some speed that you have not seen with a horse like this. Synthesis to me is more one that I'd be using underneath, if at all. And to be fair, I'm probably not going to be using that horse. The 2 is Hayden's Havoc. Hayden's Havoc's interesting for a number of reasons. First things first, let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, and you can see that they have Hayden's Havoc up there in a bit of a not a duel because the pace projector doesn't necessarily have it being a fast pace, but they have the 2 right there pushing the 6. They also have the 9 up there pushing the 6. So those 3 horses, they all project to be forward according to Timeform US. This is a maiden winner most recently for Peter Miller down at Del Mar, going 5/8 of a mile on the turf. And although that's a positive piece that this horse got over most recently, first time on the grass, you got a little bit of a negative formulator fact here for the Peter Miller barn. Past 5 years, turf, maiden winner last out, 31 to 60 day layoff. 1 for 13, 4 in the money with only a 27-cent return on investment. This one, if you believe there is a lack of speed in here, perhaps you can get brave. Drayden Van Dyke retains the mount. That's always a positive thing. The 2nd place finisher of that maiden score most recently, Kana, came back and earned a 79 buyer on dirt. So clearly there was some decent ability and decent talent in that field. Hayden's Havoc makes plenty of sense in here. There's just a part of me that looks at that formulator fact and says, a little bit interesting, and you also have to factor in 5/8 on turf is a heck of a lot different than going downhill at 6.5. I'm going to be interested to see how this one handles the downhill turf course. The number 3 horse is Urban Light. We're getting ready to come up on a 3-pack of horses right in the middle of the body where they're all making their United States debut. Urban Light goes out for Phil D'Amato, first time Lasix. Joel Rosario has the mount. This is a horse that, look, has done some decent enough things over there overseas. Most recently in Ireland in the end of August, broke the maiden. That was only in a 5-horse field that came over soft going at a mile. Got a number of things going opposite this time around. You're probably going to be dealing with firm turf. You're going to be going down the hill, which is a little bit of a unique configuration. And also, just from a distance standpoint, does this one need more than this 6.5? Is this nothing more than a sort of stepping stone to get to a longer race off of the layoff, second off the layoff anyway? You also have this formulator fact here for Phil D'Amato that's not particularly strong. Past 5 years, first after the trainer switch with foreign shippers, 2 for 28, 10 times in the money with a 50-cent ROI. This to me does feel a little bit like it is nothing more than a means to an end. Get a race back under this one's belt, stretch him out to 2 turns for his second start here in the United States. I'll be sitting back and watching what we get from Urban Light here. Boa Nova goes out for connections that they've, look, I don't want to say been snake bit, but a little bit. I mean, this trainer, she's done a very, very good job, has had a couple of tough luck losses with a couple of second place finishes, or 3 of them to be exact, from 6 at this meeting. And you get Andrea Edzeni to take the mount here. He's going to be riding over here, I believe, for a couple months maybe, or a few weeks anyway, in Southern California. So he'll be down there. He's already gone out 5 times. The interesting thing here, you get first-time Lasix, you get the blinkers on for the first time. This horse has run quite well over firm or good to firm going over in Europe, and I think that bodes well. Distance-wise, we'll find out if 6.5 down the hill is what this one wants to do. It's a little bit of having a trial by fire sort of situation, but I do like the fact that this one very clearly appreciates the hard going that you'll probably get here in the United States. Boa Nova is another kind of horse. To be honest, of all of these horses coming over from Europe, I'm more inclined to sit back and watch one before I go diving in and making win wagers on him. I expect decent enough efforts out of him, but to be fair, I'll probably sit back and watch a horse like the number 4 Boa Nova. How about the number 5 Eagle Song? Goes out from Mark Glatt, first time. Haven't seen this horse since the end of October over at Dundalk. Gets Lasix for the first time. Gets Mike Smith, so that's always a positive. Whenever you see Smith enticed enough to ride a horse like this. This is a 3-year-old son of No Nay Never. Glatt, this is another move that's not particularly strong for him past 5 years. First after the trainer switch, foreign shippers, only 0 for 6. But only one of them have hit the board. And I'm also a little bit curious to see, this horse has won each of his past 2 starts. They both came on synthetic. They both came at 7/8 of a mile. They both came at Dundalk. But also, from a running style standpoint, each of those past 2 races, the horse came from farther back. Early in his career, he was very, very close to the pace, if not outright on it. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of running style you get from a horse like Eagle Song. Another one that I'm going to sit back and watch one, but I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends up being a decent one going forward. Perhaps needs a race before we see his best, but I think he might be okay, the number 5 Eagle Song. Number 6 is Damiano. This one goes out for Mick Ruiz. Most recently ran in a starter allowance on the main track, 6 furlongs. Didn't do a heck of a lot of running. 2 starts back. Broke the maiden in for the $50,000 maiden tag. The runner-up that day was the next out winner of the 65 on dirt. But really, the question remains. I know he's by Gioponti, but you got to find out if this horse is going to successfully transfer his form over to the turf. And again, 6.5 furlongs is no guarantee. It doesn't sound like much, but they're going to be going so fast early on, and that extra little bit that you're going to have to deal with, no guarantee that this one will be able to handle it. We'll find out what you get from the number 6, Damiano. The 7 is Neptune Storm for Billy Moore. You got Kent DeSormo aboard. I'm a little bit intrigued by this horse. I don't love the field that he beat in the most recent start when he broke his maiden. That was at Santa Anita back on November the 4th, going 2 turns, going longer. The runner-up came back and earned a 60 buyer in the next start. The 4th place finisher was the next out winner with a 59. The field 2 back is, I think, the one that at least gives me hope that maybe there is a little bit of something here, because wasn't totally embarrassed by horses like Flying Scotsman and Omaha Beach, and both of those are very, very talented runners. But again, you'll note that on turf, they've only run him going long, and I do wonder if this is nothing more than let's shake the rust off, get a race under his belt, and get him ready to go for a stretch out in distance in his second start off the bench. I think they would be thrilled with a late run from this horse, and that should set him up nicely going forward here in his second start as a 3-year-old. The 8 is 7 cents, goes out for Craig Lewis. Now, blinkers come off for this horse, first time in his career. The most recent field he faced was a decent enough one. The winner came back and earned a 70 in his next start. The runner-up, a 74 on dirt. The 4th place finisher, a 72, on synthetic. That was this horse's first try on turf, and I thought it was a fine enough effort, sort of even throughout. I'm interested to see what happens on this turnback, because I was actually quite impressed with the Barrett's Juvenile that came at Los Alamitos 3 starts back. I expected him to be able to get the job done, so I was a little bit disappointed in that, but I do think this horse has some ability, and from the speed figures that he's earned, it does make me think if he can successfully transfer his form over to the turf, he is going to be interesting in a spot like this. He has a little bit of versatility, a little bit of tactical speed. I don't think he'll be up there pushing the pace just naturally off of this little bit of a layoff and coming back off of a turnback. I think he's probably going to be 2 or 3 lengths off of it. But 7 cents, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he runs a good race in this spot. And the number 9 horse is fantastic. And this ultimately, here we go, we're going to just show you the pick right now, is where I'm going to go. Call me a chalk-eating weasel. Fantastic to me just might be the most talented horse in the race. Now, look, those Europeans are a bit of an X factor and a bit of an unknown, but Fantastic has 2 buyers that I think are fast enough to win in a spot like this. Was not embarrassed in that Cecil B. DeMille. We spoke about Flying Scotsman earlier. Rajeka ran second that day, came back, next start, earned a 77 buyer, only a half length ahead of Fantastic. So clearly the form of that race is held up. 2 starts back, breaks the maiden, 6.5 furlongs down the hill. I know that's not an issue. This horse handles the hillside turf course. Goes out for Peter Urton. A little bit of a slow start to this meeting, but you know what? It's still early. Only has had 11 starters. You got Flavian Pratt to take them out here. I'm interested to see what we get. You got a bullet, and I know it's only out of 8 workers, but best of 8 going a 101 and 3, going 5/8 of a mile. I just kind of feel like there's a scenario where this horse ends up working out the best trip of them all. Now, he needs to prove that he can sit off of a target and get the job done, because the only victory came in gate-to-wire fashion 2 starts back. But having said that, that outside draw, I think, works to his advantage. When he broke his maiden, the runner-up that day came back and broke his maiden in his next start with an 80 Beyer speed figure. So the form of that race is held up. I just think there's a real scenario where this son of Dialed In is the best horse in the race, with the exception of the Europeans. And again, they're going to be a bit of a surprise in here, a little bit of a grab bag. Who knows what we're going to get from them? I think this is an interesting horse. I like him in here. The number 9, Fantastic. He is where I'm going to go in the Friday DRFBets race of the day, the 7th out at Santa Anita, going down the hill. If you are playing this race, any other race at Santa Anita, any other race anywhere, you should be playing with DRFBets. You can head on over to bets.drf.com. All sorts of great deals, particularly for new sign-up members. Take a look. All the details are over there. Bets.drf.com is the address. Scheduled post time for the 7th at Santa Anita on Friday. The Friday DRFBets race of the day, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. Good luck.